Okay, somebody in the comments this morning let me know that there's a new Poilievre advertisement, and we got to go through this because it's pretty fucking funny.
What do you think, Prime Minister? Could you get the railway built today? Let's not forget why...
Shit, Mark Carney broke him. He's fucking talking to boss of John A. MacDonald now. What is with this obsession with this John A. MacDonald thing? I don't get it. It's very strange. But
John A. wanted an east-west railway. It's so that we wouldn't be so dependent on the Americans. But today, with the United States threatening tariffs, we need east-west trade more than ever before.
Yeah, which Mark Carney is working on. He's actually, one of the first things he did as Prime Minister was to talk about the fact that he wanted to create different ways to transport goods from, different ports in Canada. Kind of feels like you're just stealing from Mark Carney now. But I guess fair is fair, right? I mean, Mark Carney did take a few of your good ideas. But yeah, if you vote for Mark Carney, you're going to get those transports as well.
And building that kind of project would be impossible to start with. This Liberal minister would probably chain himself to a tree. Stephen Guilbeault, major Mark Carney supporter, got arrested climbing up the CN Tower and also climbing onto the roof of the Premier of Alberta's home, his private residence. He got arrested for those things, all to protest development. More recently...
Okay. You don't need to sell him to us, okay? Obviously, he's a badass. I mean, that guy is our minister, one of our ministers in Mark Carney's cabinet. I mean, he climbed the CN Tower. That is fucking amazing. And you make it sound like it's a bad thing. I love Stephen Guilbeault. I mean, look at the man. He doesn't look like the type of person that is like climbing the CN Tower and being a badass with Greenpeace. Fucking love that. But again, continue.
He said that the Liberal government will not support building any more roads. If you want to figure out how far back we've gone since John A.'s National Railway, consider this. To transport Alberta oil to Quebec, it needs to go through the United States. Pipelines south of the border. That gives the Americans the power to cut off Canadians from our own energy supply. It must hurt you to hear that, doesn't it?
Well, you understand why that pipeline cuts through the United States is because we built pipelines in order to send oil to the United States. Because, up until recently, we had great relationship with them, and it was for the betterment of Canada. It was to our advantage to sell our oil to them. I think John A. MacDonald would have agreed with that. He probably would have been quite happy about the fact that Canada is doing so well financially. And, having trade relations with the United States. So, yeah, we put pipelines that went through because then it also service dipped into Canada. But, yeah, go on. Keep talking to your bus.
Unbelievable. But it brings a smile to Donald Trump's face because he smells weakness. Worse than that, Liberals are actually forcing Canadians to fund Vladimir Putin's war machine.
My God, are you really trying to make it seem like Trudeau friggin' supported the Russian side of the war? Okay, despite all the money and supplies and everything else that we have sent to Ukraine, and how many times that you have spoken out against supporting Ukraine, how many times you voted against supporting Ukraine, you've got to be joking.
Despite promised sanctions on Russian oil, Canada is now even more dependent on fossil fuels from Russia.
So it may come as a surprise to many that Russian crude oil is still making its way to Canada and to the United States.
If we had more pipelines and refineries, we could replace all Russian energy with Canadian energy. We could also make hundreds of billions of dollars piping Western oil to the East Coast and then shipping it over the Atlantic, breaking European dependence on Putin and turning dollars for dictators into paychecks for our people. As Prime Minister, I'll hire...
Yeah, and while you're at it, you'll ignore all of the Indigenous treaties and environmental issues that Canada has that prevents us from basically doing all of those giant pipelines across, because we know how much you respect the Indigenous people, don't you there, Pierre?
Ministers who don't get arrested for climbing up and protesting projects, but instead who will knock down barriers to east-west infrastructure like pipelines. So
you're going to hire boring people? That's no fucking fun. I want the Greenpeace guy. Climb the CN Tower.
We'll repeal the Liberal No Pipelines Law, C-69. But that alone will not be enough. After 10 years of watching Liberals destroy project after project, and after TransCanada Pipeline spent $1 billion on the Energy East pipeline only to have the government change the rules and kill the project, there may not be many investors willing to take a risk on Canada's governments. So, to remove that risk, investors need certainty up front, and I will give it to them. Today I am announcing the Canada First Energy Corridor. It will be a pre-approved right-of-way for pipelines, rail lines, power lines.
Oh, so basically it sounds like you're going to gut a bunch of the red tape and environmental protections and everything else that are required for pipelines. I mean, that sounds like what you're saying there. You're going to make it appealing for all these investors to suddenly put a bunch of pipelines in. Most likely you're just going to gut all of the environmental protections and red tape that keeps Canada and its environment safe, as well as all the Indigenous treaties that we have in order to, put pipelines on Indigenous land. And yeah, sorry, Pierre, but
And other resource infrastructure. This corridor will be pre-designated, ensuring that all level of governments have provided legally binding commitments to approve projects within them. Investors would no longer face endless regulatory...
Yeah, so basically you're going to gut all of the environmental protections and the red tape. Anyone else feel like John A. Macdonald is looking at him like disappointingly in the background? There just seems like a side eye from John A. in the background there.
Limbo. First Nations would be involved from the outset, ensuring that economic benefits flow directly to them and that their approval is guaranteed before the dollars are even spent. We will bring home...
I don't believe for 1 second that you give a crap about Indigenous people. We know that you have insulted them on the floor of the House of Commons multiple times. You had to apologize for it once, basically calling them lazy. And you think by throwing money at Indigenous people, they're just going to let you do whatever the hell they want? It's not about money for them. It's about protecting their land. And that just goes to show that you don't fucking understand a goddamn thing about Indigenous people and Canada and how everything fucking works.
Our money, business, paychecks, and energy independence, we will break our dependence on the U.S. and become more attached to our fellow compatriots across Canada.
Yeah, I don't believe that for 1 second. I think if you become Prime Minister, you are going to sell as many resources as you can down south. You are going to make as much money as you can, and you are going to gut the hell out of our government. So, no.
And we will seek to honor the legacy of John A. Macdonald and his railway by adding pipelines, power lines, roads, and rail that bind our country together.
Oh, really? You're going to honor John A. Macdonald's legacy by adding railroads and pipelines? And how are you going to do that? Are you going to use slave labor like he did to build the railroads? Are you going to put residential schools back in place like he did? At that time, he was a racist, but he was like a massive racist for that time. Like the early, I don't know what your obsession is, Pierre, with John A. Macdonald, but he's a massive racist. And you appear like a fucking psychopath every time you talk about him. Like, does the ghost of John A. Macdonald talk to you in bed at night? Like, I'm really curious. I'm starting to think that there is some, like, weird psychosis, like, you're, like, must be, like, hallucinating John A. talking to you. And I'm worried for you, man. Mental health-wise, I am worried for you.
One nation, bound into a united country, self-reliant, sovereign, standing on our own 2 feet. We will put Canada first. Let's bring it home.
He keeps saying, let's bring it home. Bring what home? What are you talking about? You've been saying bring it home before even the United States thing started with the tariffs and So I don't understand what you're saying, bring it home. Like, it's such a weird-ass... That whole commercial is just an absolute mess. Absolute mess. I don't know what he's trying to do there. Like, I know that he's trying to do this whole Canada first and this is what I'm going to do for Canada and stuff. But the random attacks of, like, the one minister and talking about John A. Macdonald just comes off so freaking weird. Absolutely weird. I don't know if this is going to, like, where these ad ideas are getting from, because they're not going to resonate with regular Canadians. Like, they're just going to be like, what even is this? And for those of us that actually know who Pierre is and his voting history and everything else, it's just massive bullshit. Like, utter lies. I mean, it's so easy to mock the guy just watching that commercial. Like, I can't believe we got another 28 days of this. I don't drink, and I don't drink alcohol or coffee. I might start having to, okay? Just to be able to get through this friggin' election.